Hello, and welcome back to Fem Life. If you'd like to support me, please use my affiliate links mentioned below. Every purchase you make will bring me closer to my gender transition. The trip to church seemed to fly by, even though it was quite a distance from home. I was reluctant to get out of the car, but Mom held my hand and encouraged me to smile and relax. Surprisingly, she was right, it turned out fine. As we walked into the church, I braced myself for everyone to turn and stare, but aside from a couple of boys, no one paid much attention. When we reached a pew, Mom signaled for me to go in first. I smiled at the lady sitting nearby as I slid in, and she returned the smile before going back to her prayer book. I found myself silently praying that we wouldn't run into anyone we knew. The service eventually ended, and I couldn't wait to get back to the car. I wanted to push my way through the crowd and sprint to the vehicle, but remembering Mom's instructions for Max to act like a lady, I forced myself to walk slowly and calmly to avoid drawing too much attention. Once inside the car, I felt a wave of relief. I had made it through a whole church service without being recognized. Now if only my luck would hold for the rest of the day. Mom and Max teased me on the drive to lunch, finding it amusing how the boys at church had looked at me. I didn't find it funny at all. I felt ridiculous in girls' clothes and definitely didn't want any boys thinking I was cute. By the time we reached the restaurant, I realized I desperately needed to use the bathroom. I couldn't go into the men's room dressed like this, but the idea of using the ladies' room terrified me. Mom came to the rescue by suggesting we all go together. We had to wait in line for several minutes, and my anxiety grew. Church had been nerve-wracking enough, but now I was queuing with real girls to enter a place I had no business being in. I feared that if anyone noticed something amiss, I might end up in trouble. Sensing my distress, Mom whispered for me to relax. "You're a pretty girl, no one will ever know." She smoothed my hair and put her arm around me, making me feel much better. I gave her the best smile I could manage and told her I loved her. She was keeping her promise, and for now, everything seemed to be okay. Once I got into a stall, it took me a moment to figure out the new routine. I wasn't used to maneuvering all these layers just to use the bathroom. After finishing, I pulled up my panties and stockings, adjusted my slip and dress, and stepped out to find Mom and Max waiting for me. Mom smoothed out my dress and suggested I take a moment to freshen up. I took the brush from my purse and quickly brushed any stray hairs back into place. It was easy, and within moments, I looked presentable again. I saw Mom standing behind me, smiling at how well I had done. As I put the brush away and reached for my purse, Mom stepped over and stopped me. She reached into the purse and pulled out the bottle of cologne she had packed. "Do you mind?" she asked sweetly. "Be my guest," I muttered, assuming she wanted to use it herself. It wasn't until she started spraying me with the cologne that I realized I needed to pay more attention. "What are you doing?" I gasped. Mom looked at me with an innocent expression. "You said it was okay. I thought you meant on yourself." "I don't want any of that on me." "Oh, come on. Lots of girls your age wear cologne. It's part of growing up." "But I'm not a girl," I whispered as quietly as possible. "Just play along for the day, please?" Mom pleaded. "I promise it'll be fun." Looking into Mom's eyes, I knew I couldn't refuse. After all, what was a bit of cologne compared to already being in the ladies' room wearing a dress? "I'm sorry, Mom," I said softly. "Can we go eat now?" We left the restroom and were shown to a table. The waitress came over to take our order and smiled at Max and me in our matching dresses. "You girls look so sweet in your matching dresses. Out for a Sunday afternoon with Mom?" I was afraid to say anything, but Max spoke up. "We just came from church, and after lunch, we're going shopping." I was certain the waitress would recognize Max as a boy after he spoke, but she didn't. "Well, I'm sure you ladies will have fun," she said cheerfully as she took our order. "See?" Mom whispered excitedly. "I told you girls you were cute. Now do you believe me?" Max was grinning from ear to ear. I couldn't believe it, everyone who met us thought we were girls. The woman I sat next to at church, all the women waiting in line for the ladies' room, and now this waitress, they were all convinced. Mom had really done a great job turning us into girls. I believe you, Mom, I said, still stunned by being mistaken for a girl. I don't get it, but I believe you. I wanted a triple-decker cheeseburger for lunch, but Mom insisted I have a single, saying that young ladies don't eat triple-deckers. To make things worse, I had to take small, dainty bites while I was starving. I was already seeing the downsides of being a girl. During lunch, Mom brought up what to call us now that our boy names didn't fit our new identities. She said she'd use the girl names she and Dad had picked out before we were born. Max would be Rebecca or Becky, and I'd be Cynthia Marie, or Emma. Max seemed thrilled with Becky, but I wasn't so sure about Emma. It seemed so distinctly feminine, especially compared to names like Bobby, Pat, or Sue. Still, my opinion didn't count for much, so I figured I'd better get used to it. After lunch, we made another trip to the ladies' room, which went much more smoothly than the first. Maybe I was starting to get used to being Emma, but I didn't feel as awkward going in alone this time. Fixing my dress, slip, stockings, and panties was still a bit tricky, but knowing the routine made it easier. I finished up and joined Mom and Max, now Becky, at the door. As we walked to the car, I wondered what Mom had planned for us at the mall. Would we just be strolling around, or would she expect us to try on clothes? I remembered Becky mentioning that he and Mom had spent an entire afternoon trying on outfits at different stores, so I figured I'd be in for the same. As we drove to the mall, I realized that, strangely enough, I was starting to enjoy this. It was like riding a roller coaster, terrifying at first, but thrilling when it was over. Church had scared me, but once it was done, I felt exhilarated. The restroom had been nerve-wracking, but coming out felt exciting. I was fooling everyone we met, and truthfully, it was kind of fun. We headed straight to the dress department of the first store in the mall, and Mom practically bounced with excitement. She held up one dress after another for Becky and me to examine and comment on. Energized by the experience, I soon found myself browsing through the racks, exploring different outfits. Mom picked out a yellow short set for Becky, who dashed off to the dressing room in no time. He had to wait for Mom's help, though, since the set buttoned up the back. A few minutes later, Becky emerged, proudly modeling the shorts and top. It was hard to believe this was my little brother, the same one who had cried when I first made him wear Mom's clothes. Without his shoes or tights, he looked every bit the 9-year-old girl. Mom focused on Becky for a while, offering him various shorts, dresses, and even swimsuits to try on. Becky was thrilled, giggling, spinning around, and reveling in every outfit. Feeling a bit left out, I spotted a hot pink flared skirt and white top and decided to give them a try. Mom eagerly joined me to help with the buttons, clearly one of the highlights of her day. I slipped my arms out of my dress and hung it up, then stepped into the skirt and pulled it up. I put on the top and examined myself in the mirror. Just a few hours ago, I had been horrified at the thought of being seen in public in girls' clothes. Now, I was admiring myself in a skirt and top I had chosen. Mom and Becky both thought I looked fantastic in the skirt. It was short, and my white stockings looked sharp against the pink. I found a spot surrounded by mirrors so I could see how I looked from all angles. Just then, a sales clerk approached us. "She looks fantastic in that, don't you think?" the clerk said to Mom. "It's a really popular outfit for girls her age." "You're right, Emma." Mom agreed. "You could really use some pretty outfits." It was true, my only pretty outfit was the dress I'd worn today. But did I really need more? Despite how cute I looked, I was still a 12-year-old boy with no real need for pretty clothes. Yet again, my feelings were secondary, and I walked out of the store with a new skirt, top, a half slip, and red shoes to match. The excitement was building, but I wasn't sure I wanted to stop. We visited a few more stores, trying on different outfits for Mom's approval. I was having so much fun that it felt surreal. Here I was, a 12-year-old boy dressed up as a girl, trying on girls' clothes in front of everyone without anyone realizing my true identity. Becky and I modeled all sorts of dresses, skirts, swimsuits, and shorts. Despite the dressing rooms being crowded with women helping their daughters, Becky and I were treated just like any other girls. By the end of the afternoon, we had tried on at least 20 different outfits and used the ladies' room 3 more times. It truly felt like a roller coaster ride, mixing a bit of fear with a lot of excitement. We left the mall with my new skirt and top, and Becky's short set. There were other outfits we liked, but we had to leave them behind. We couldn't exactly show up at school on Monday in dresses. I wondered if I could manage to go somewhere I was known, dressed as Emma. It sounded thrilling, but I knew I lacked the courage to try it. When we got home, Max and I were giggling like we shared a secret. Mom unbuttoned our dresses, and we hurried to our room to change into our new outfits. As I took off my dress and hung it up, Max and I paused, looked at each other in our slips and stockings, and burst into laughter. Mom walked in just as we were hugging each other and snapped our picture. "You can't imagine how happy it makes me to see you two getting along," she said, tears in her eyes. "You make better sisters than brothers." "You're a sweet little sister yourself, Becky," I joked, holding on to my little brother. "You're not so bad yourself, Emma," Max replied, hugging me tightly. "Thanks for coming with us today." I told Mom how it felt like a roller coaster ride and that I really had enjoyed it. She suggested that Max and I finish getting dressed and then come downstairs to talk about our day. I didn't care what she had to say, it had been the most thrilling day of my life. Max and I finished changing, he in his new shorts, and I in my new skirt and top, and went downstairs to chat with Mom. Mom explained that she and Max had talked after she caught him wearing her nightgown. He cried and cried until Mom finally told him that she really wasn't mad at him. Once he calmed down, he told her that ever since that day when I made him wear her clothes, he'd been sneaking some of her clothes to wear and playing with her makeup. Max said that he liked the way Mom's underwear felt and thought it would be really neat to be a girl. Mom told him that lots of little boys go through a stage when they dress up in their mom's clothes and that it wasn't such a big deal. She told him that he could wear some of her old clothes whenever they were alone if he was good. From then on, whenever I wasn't home, Max would dress up in Mom's stuff and pretend he was a little girl. He and Mom had such a good time that she would sometimes buy him girls' underwear and stuff until he could dress like any other girl his age. If I was staying at a friend's house for a night, Max would get to wear a nightgown and girls' underwear after a bubble bath. Max became so good at pretending he was a girl that one day Mom asked if he'd like to try going shopping as a girl. Mom said that if he wanted to try, she'd dress him up and they'd go somewhere where she wasn't known and spend the day shopping. Mom told him that it wouldn't take much to make him look like a little girl and they'd have a really fun time shopping as mother and daughter. Max didn't need much convincing, and one weekend, when I was going to be staying at a friend's house, they made their plans. That Saturday, Mom got Max all done up in a pink sundress with all of the necessary underwear, knee socks, and shoes, fixed his hair to make him look more like a girl. When she was satisfied, they went to lunch and spent the afternoon trying on dresses at the mall. Mom said Max was a big hit with everyone fussing over him and saying how cute he looked in different outfits. Not a single person ever realized that he was really a boy in a dress. They had been on several outings before I happened to catch him dressed up that day. Sometimes they went shopping at a mall, sometimes to a movie, and once he even spent an afternoon playing with some real girls in a park. When I teased him the day I caught him, Mom was afraid I'd say something that would hurt and embarrass Max, so she decided something would have to be done. She finally decided that I'd never tell anyone about Max's dressing up if I was doing it too, so she bought the sister dresses, PJs, and underwear for me. She gave each of us pictures of the other one, all dressed up, to keep either of us from squealing about the other. I looked at the pictures of Max wearing his frilly PJs, Max standing there in a pair of ruffled panties and a girl's undershirt, and Max in his little sister dress. "Here, Becky," I said, offering them to Max, "you can have these, I'll never tell." "I promise." Max thanked me for the pictures, then gave me the pictures of me that he had. "Thanks, Emma," he said. "I promise I won't either." We modeled our new outfits for Mom, then went to change into our PJs. I decided not to wear my PJs again even though they were so comfortable. Instead, I changed into a long, thin, white nightgown that had a ruffled bottom and was decorated with tiny pink flowers. I felt so cool and comfortable, and it looked so pretty on me. Mom and her daughters spent the rest of the evening watching movies and eating popcorn in our nightgowns. The next morning, Max and I went off to school as a couple of boys, but neither of us could forget what had happened over the weekend. Max asked if I really liked it and if we could go out again sometime. I told him that even though it was scary, I really did have a good time, but I didn't think we'd do it much more. After all, we couldn't afford to buy clothes we couldn't wear, and I only had 2 outfits to wear. Of course, if Mom didn't mind, maybe we could play dress up in some of her old clothes at home. Max was sure Mom wouldn't mind and promised to pick out some really nice stuff for me to try on. He promised it would be a blast, and I believed him. We never got a chance to play dress up during the week, although we did wear our PJs every night and whenever we were alone called each other Becky and Emma. When Friday came though, we were both looking forward to having some fun. Mom had already okayed using her old clothes, and Max had several different things for me to try on. The first thing Max had for me was sort of a cross between a pair of shorts and a skirt. It looked like a skirt, but had legs like shorts. Max wanted me to wear it with a pair of stockings and one of Mom's old tops to see if I'd look like Mom did. We quickly took off our school clothes, and while I started to put on the outfit Max picked for me, he put on his sundress. It felt pretty nice to put panties on again, and the stockings felt great too. Max helped me hook my bra in the back, then stopped me before I could pull on the top to the outfit. Smiling, he stuffed the bra with several wads of tissue until the front stuck out from my chest. "Don't you think you're overdoing it?" I giggled. "Just trying to make you look more like a grown-up lady, that's all," laughed Max. I certainly looked grown up, perhaps even a bit too grown up. I pulled on the top and stood still as Max examined me. He seemed satisfied with my appearance, so I headed to the dresser where Mom had set out some makeup for us. I'd watched her apply makeup before, so I tried to mimic her technique. But somehow, it just didn't turn out the same. "Looks like you could use a bit of help, young lady." Mom chuckled as she entered the room. "Not bad for your first attempt, though." She applied some liquid foundation to my face, blending it evenly. Next, she added a touch of blush to my cheeks and applied mascara to my eyebrows. She found some eyeshadow that matched my pink top and picked out some pink lipstick to go with it. Mom let me style my own hair, and when I finished, I could immediately see the difference. Even though my hair was still short, it looked great, and Mom's makeup made me look beautiful. I was thrilled with my appearance, so much so that I could easily pass for a 16-year-old girl now. Max told me I looked like a really pretty girl, and Mom hurried to get her camera. She took several pictures of me alone and then more with Max. We were having a blast when Mom suddenly rushed out of the room, saying she needed to get something. A few minutes later, she returned with a long dress wrapped in plastic. "When I was 14, I was a junior bridesmaid at my favorite aunt's wedding," she explained. "I kept this dress in the hope that one day I'd have a daughter who could wear it. Looks like that time has finally come." Mom unwrapped the dress, and Max and I both took a deep breath. The dress was stunning, pale red with a long pleated skirt and lace covering the bodice. Thin straps held it up, and a sheer red cape flowed over it. I imagined how beautiful Mom must have looked in that dress and wondered if I would look just as lovely. I removed the skirt and top I was wearing so Mom could help me into the gown. She pulled out half the tissues from my bra, saying I didn't need to be quite so full. She then went to her room and returned with a strapless bra. "You can't wear a regular bra with this type of dress, Emma," she said, speaking as if she were addressing a girl. "For this kind of dress, you'll need a strapless one." She unhooked my bra, helped me out of it, and fastened the new bra around me. The cups were much firmer than my old bra, which Mom explained was necessary to keep it in place. She added some tissue to fill it out and then had me step into the gown. Once I had pulled it up and placed the straps over my shoulders, I had to lift the bottom of the gown to adjust the slip, which had gotten caught. Mom asked Max to go to her room to fetch a long slip so the dress would look just right on me. After putting on the slip and smoothing out the dress, Mom draped the cape around my shoulders and buttoned it for me. She adjusted my makeup to complement the dress, and then she let me look in the mirror. I looked fantastic. Despite my short hair, Mom had transformed me into a beautiful young girl ready for a wedding. Max was ecstatic with Mom's work and asked if she had any old outfits he could wear. Mom thought for a moment and then said she had just the thing. She told Max to put on his slip and white stockings, and she would be right back. When Mom returned, she brought a wrapped package. Unwrapping it, she revealed a fancy white dress she had worn for a church ceremony when she was about Max's age. Max's eyes widened with excitement, and his grin was enormous. The dress was pure white, with short, puffy sleeves, a patterned bottom half, 3 small pearl buttons at the top, and a sash tied at the back. An added bonus for Max was that the dress had been stored with a matching slip and a pair of white socks adorned with lace. Max quickly changed out of his sundress, donned the white socks, pulled the fluffy slip over his head, and Mom helped him into the dress. She smoothed it over the slip, buttoned him up, and tied the sash. My little brother was gone, replaced by the cutest, most adorable little girl you could imagine. Mom was busy snapping photos, praising how beautiful we both looked. She went through 3 rolls of film, constantly switching to new packs. When I asked what she planned to do with all the pictures, she said she wanted to create an album to remember when her girls were little. I thought it was a great idea to look back on our fun times, but I worried about someone accidentally seeing those photos. I was enjoying pretending to be a girl and tricking everyone, but I didn't want those pictures to be seen by others. Eventually, we had to take off our pretty outfits since Mom said they were too nice to play in. However, she promised that on Sunday, when we went to church, Max could wear the beautiful white dress, and I could wear my new outfit. I was unsure what to expect. I secretly wanted to dress up again, but I wondered where Mom would draw the line. Would she try to take us somewhere else to see if we could fool people who knew us? There were only so many outfits to wear, and we might get bored with playing dress up at home. Still, I figured that one more day of pretending to be a girl wouldn't be too bad, and I really wanted to wear my new outfit in public. The rest of Friday evening felt like a slumber party as we lounged in nightgowns, watched TV, and ate popcorn. Mom added some excitement by showing us how to do our nails. It might have seemed strange for 2 boys in nightgowns doing their nails, but it was thrilling. Max painted his toenails pink and his fingernails red, while I opted for a pretty red shade on both. After a few attempts, we got the hang of it and took turns doing each other's nails. It didn't take long for me to realize that being a girl was far more enjoyable than being a boy. Shopping with Mom as Mike had always been dull compared to the fun I had as Emma. As Mike, I only tried on plain pants and shirts. But as Emma, I got to try on skirts, dresses, slacks, swimsuits, shorts, and tops. The outfits were vibrant and varied, with so many different fabrics and styles to choose from. Even if I chose a simple outfit, I could still wear pretty underwear underneath. Socks or stockings felt so soft and made me feel differently inside, nothing I wore before had done that. The next day, back to being a boy, playing baseball, and hanging out with the guys, I found myself wondering what they would look like in dresses. I figured most of my friends probably wouldn't make the most convincing girls, but a couple might actually look pretty cute with a different hairstyle. It was a new thought for me, but I couldn't stop imagining what the other boys would look like in girls' clothes. I knew they'd probably beat me up if they knew what I was thinking, but it was oddly fun. By Saturday night, I was back in my harem girl pajamas and panties, helping Max with his nails and experimenting with Mom's old makeup. I managed a better job on my face than before, though it was still far from Mom's professional touch. We took turns trying to set each other's hair in curlers, but since neither of us had long enough hair, we settled for curling our bangs and creating short styles. Sunday morning arrived, and Max and I practically devoured our breakfast so we could get dressed for church. Max decided to forego stockings, preferring to feel his new slip directly against his bare legs. I helped him with his buttons and sash while Mom styled his hair. I put on tan stockings, a half slip, and a bra, then slipped into my skirt and top. I wanted to style my hair myself and after several attempts, settled on a look I liked. I parted my hair in the center and used a curling iron to make it curl under and away from my face. I finished with some bangs, adding a touch of curl to them as well. Mom complimented my hair and asked if I'd do Max's too. I was eager to help, especially since Max's hair was a bit longer and I thought I could make him look really pretty. After brushing, curling, and adjusting, Max was transformed back into Becky, thrilled with the result. Mom, as usual, beamed with pride seeing her daughters get along so well. Once we were both ready, Mom changed into a lovely dress, and we headed to church. I couldn't help but feel a bit disappointed when no boys seemed to notice me. I thought I looked pretty cute in my new outfit and wished someone would appreciate it. Max quickly became the center of attention, with all the women we passed smiling at him. Many of the girls at the church were wearing dresses similar to his, having just gone through the same ceremony. During the service, I kept glancing around at the other little girls, trying to see if any of them might actually be boys. If there were any, I couldn't tell, maybe their moms were as skilled at makeup as mine. On the drive to the mall after church, I mentioned to Mom that I had been trying to spot any boys dressed as girls. She found the idea amusing and thought there must be other boys like us out there. Max agreed, and we decided to keep an eye out for other pretty boys. We stopped at a small restaurant for brunch on the way to the mall. Our first stop was the ladies' room, which was thankfully empty. After using the stall, I went to the mirror to fix my hair when Mom burst into laughter. I had accidentally gotten my skirt and slip caught in my stockings, creating a draft from the back. It was a good thing Mom was there to help. After eating, we headed to a different shopping center to find some spring outfits for Becky and me. We discovered a store with racks of spring dresses and excitedly picked out 6 outfits each. As I tried on my third outfit, a pink jumper and white jersey, I noticed a girl who looked eerily familiar entering the dressing rooms. My heart raced. What if she recognized me or Mom from school? What if she saw us and started asking questions? I quickly found Mom and told her what happened. She agreed that leaving was probably wise, so I went back to change. As I left the dressing rooms, I saw the girl again. I tried to avoid eye contact, but couldn't help glancing at her. There was something unsettling about her face that I couldn't place. She seemed puzzled when she saw me and then hurried away after a final, lingering look. I changed back into my skirt and top and waited for Becky to finish. I kept my distance from the dressing rooms to avoid running into the girl again. When Becky was ready, we left, and Mom promised to take us to another store. However, I was too upset to enjoy any more shopping. What if that girl had recognized me? How would I explain being in the girls' dressing room wearing a dress? I was a bundle of nerves, regretting the whole idea of trying to fool people. The memory of the girl haunted me all the way home. I was sure I knew her, but couldn't figure out who she was. Despite my anxiety, there was a strange sense of relief as I thought about her. She was someone familiar, and that realization left me feeling oddly comforted. I never did figure out who the girl was, but at least I was sure she wasn't from my class or neighborhood. Her face seemed so familiar, but I couldn't place her name if my life depended on it. I just hoped she didn't recognize me, even though she did turn around to look as I walked away. When we got home, I rushed to my room, stripped off all my girls' clothes, changed my hairstyle, and quickly put my boys' stuff back on. I had enjoyed pretending to be a girl, but now I was worried I might be in real trouble. I planned to find the other guys and claim I'd been with them all day, saying I'd never been to that store and didn't even know where it was. At dinner, Max was still in a sundress, girls' socks, and sneakers, helping Mom prepare the meal. Maybe he hadn't learned from the store incident, but I certainly had. It would take a miracle for me to wear a dress again. During the meal, Max asked if I wanted to play dress up later. I told him I had no intention of playing that game again and suggested he should stop, too. Max looked like he might cry, and I didn't mean to hurt his feelings, I was just upset about the girl at the mall. "I'm sorry, Max," I said. I'm not trying to be mean, I'm just really bothered by the girl we saw. Aren't you worried someone might recognize you? Calm down, Emma, Mom said, trying to soothe me. I doubt that girl really knows who you are. After all, you can't even remember her yourself. Please don't call me that, Mom. I begged. I don't want to be Emma ever again. Max seemed baffled by my reluctance to continue with the game, and I wasn't sure if I was being unreasonable. I just wanted to be seen as a normal boy, so even if the girl was someone I knew, she'd never guess it was really me. Weeks passed without me wearing any girls' clothes. It was tough. Every time I saw girls dressed up at school, I thought about trying on a dress myself. Every glance at my own dress or skirt reminded me of how much fun I had and how exciting it was to wear them. I asked Mom to put them away, but she said she wanted to keep them for when Max grew into them. No one ever brought up that store, nor did I notice anyone looking at me oddly. For a while, whenever I heard giggles from a couple of girls, I wondered if it had something to do with me, but no one ever said anything, so I tried to forget about it. One day, while hanging out with the guys during a baseball game, I noticed something unusual. I was in center field when the batter hit a ground ball towards second base. Jack, playing second base, was ready to catch it, and I moved in behind him in case he missed. Jack didn't need my help. He quickly bent over, scooped up the ball, and threw the batter out. What caught my eye, though, was when his pants slipped down slightly, revealing the top of his underwear. Not just any underwear, but pink, nylon girls' underwear. I wasn't sure what to do or say, so I decided it would be best to wait until the game was over and we were alone. I didn't want to embarrass Jack in front of everyone, and since I was behind him, no one else would likely notice. Jack and I had known each other for years and lived close by, so we walked home from the game together. Once we were far from the others, I figured it was time to warn him about his underwear showing. At first, Jack thought I was crazy for suggesting he was wearing girls' underwear. But after I described what I had seen, he fell silent, looking scared. I guess you're going to tell the other guys now, huh? He asked quietly. Is there any chance you won't? If I was going to say anything, I wouldn't have told you first, I replied. I could have mentioned it back at the field. Why didn't you? Jack asked softly. I really owe you. Why would I ruin the best second baseman we have? I laughed. I'm not that stupid. Guess you think I'm weird or something. I know you're a great guy and a fantastic second baseman, I said. What more is there to know? Don't you want to know why I'm wearing girls' underwear? He asked. I shrugged. Of course, I was curious, so curious I could barely contain it, but I had to stay cool. That's up to you. I was just trying to help. Jack then told me about a Halloween when he was 7. His mom thought it would be cute to dress him as a girl for a costume party. She found a red velvet dress trimmed in lace at a thrift store, along with matching patent leather shoes and tights. Just before checking out, she spotted a little girl's slip and ruffled nylon panties, and Jack ended up completely dressed as a girl for the party. At the party, everyone fussed over Jack, commenting on how cute and pretty he looked in his dress. Many were surprised to learn he was actually a boy, and some women even suggested his mom should dress him this way more often. Initially embarrassed, Jack soon enjoyed the attention. Although he never told his mom how he felt, he would sneak into her room to try on the outfit from time to time. A few months later, his dad caught him in the dress. Instead of getting angry, his dad simply told Jack to stay in the house and that they would talk with his mom later. Jack was worried he'd be in trouble when he told his parents he enjoyed wearing the dress and that it made him feel good. To his surprise, they just smiled and told him to be sure no one saw him dressed like that. The next day, the dress and shoes were in his closet, and the underwear was in his dresser. He began wearing the dress around the house, along with several others his parents had bought for him. Outside, he was a regular boy, but at home, he was a little girl who helped her mom with housework and enjoyed her dad buying her pretty clothes. Jack's dad mentioned that he didn't mind Jack dressing as a girl. It was like having a son and daughter all in one. Jack continued to wear girls' clothes whenever he could, and his parents treated him as a girl when he was dressed up. They called him Chloe at home and even took him on little trips as Chloe. His mom taught him to cook and sew, and he helped with housework. His dad took him out both as Jack and as Chloe, and they always had a great time. Sometimes, Jack and his mom would go clothes shopping, enjoying their time as mother and daughter. That's when it hit me, the girl I had seen in the store was Jack. Then it was you I saw in the store, I exclaimed in surprise. You couldn't have seen me, Jack protested. Mom and I were careful never to shop around here. I know, but a couple of weeks ago, you were in a store called Susan's trying on clothes, right? Yeah, I went there with Mom. But how could you have seen me? Jack asked, puzzled. Remember the girl in the pink jumper who passed you as you were going into the dressing rooms? Yes, he said. She scared me. I was sure I knew her from somewhere, but I couldn't figure out where. You did, I said with a grin. I was that girl. No wonder I couldn't remember her. I never thought she could be someone I knew. I invited Jack over to see some of the pictures Mom had taken of me, and he was excited to accept. We agreed to tell our families about each other so we could do things as Chloe and Emma. I was eager to get home and show him the pictures. While Jack and I were looking at some of the pictures in my room, Mom walked in. She seemed surprised that I had shown them to anyone and was even more surprised to learn about Chloe. She called Jack's parents and invited them over to get acquainted. She thought it would be better to discuss Emma and Chloe in person rather than over the phone. When Jack's parents arrived, Mom took them to the living room and then asked Jack and me to come down from my room. We were nervous, but took a deep breath and walked into the room together, ready to face our families as Chloe and Emma. Jack's parents looked at him in my red skirt and top, and then at me in my big sister dress. We had done each other's hair and even painted our nails. Jack's dad was the first to speak. That's a lovely dress you're wearing, Emma, and you look great too, Chloe. Jack's mom smiled as she took in our appearance. Emma, if it's okay with your mom, how about spending the night with Chloe at our house? The girls could go shopping tomorrow. Mom beamed. That sounds like a lot of fun to me. What do you think, Emma? I didn't answer right away. Chloe and I were too busy hugging and talking excitedly about all the fun we'd have. I decided to bring my harem girl pajamas and wear my big sister dress the next day. The dress seemed perfect since I am the big sister now.